Hello, Namaste. This is Timothy Halloran. I'm an astrologer from Savannah, Georgia. This is a weekly astrological forecast, this being for the third week of October 2015, and today is Tuesday, October 13th. And we're beginning this week with a new lunar moon cycle. We had a new moon in Libra yesterday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, so we are starting things off new and differently. And I actually did my video yesterday, but it didn't really come out the way I wanted it. The message didn't get delivered. It was too peaceful, too nice. And with all things in Mercury retrograde shadow phase, and Mercury is just starting to pick up speed again, turning direct, still in his shadow phase, when things don't work the first time, sometimes we have to do things differently. So I recently moved to a new location, and I'm trying out a new location. And I'm not sure how much I really like the new location, being that it sounds like I'm next to a major highway. However, this is a unmarked Negro grave cemetery. So I was sort of hoping to come here and connect with the land and the ancestors a little bit to do this report, but it might be a continued ongoing experiment. I might have to do videos actually indoors in order to make this practical. But that being said, we're trying things new and differently today. And I want to speak about the energy of this week also having gone beyond the new moon. The new moon was yesterday. So we're starting about a new cycle this week. Last week we were talking about the new moon, but it was more so the closing into this new moon. And we talked about the fact that this new moon is 19 degrees Libra, having to do with the total balancing of our energy within and without, above and below. And we were talking about the polarity and how we can achieve integration and balance between the polarity of the masculine and the feminine. And we're still talking a lot about this theme that is the Aries-Libra, Venus-Mars polarity. As we're still dealing with this polarity, just having this new moon in Libra, the past full moon lunar eclipse was in Aries, and this is starting to lead us into a conjunction that is forming between Venus, Mars, and Jupiter in the sign of Virgo, that's actually going to this week oppose Neptune, and then in a couple weeks oppose Chiron in the sign of Pisces. So there's this very interesting Pisces-Virgo dynamic that's going on, and there's also this Aries-Libra dynamic that's going on. And so this is kind of the focus with today's report, yes? Okay, so Mars has just opposed Neptune over the last weekend and is now going to come up, trine Pluto on this Friday, and then conjoin with Jupiter on Sunday. Simultaneously, Venus now is slowly catching up to Mars, also in Virgo, and this Saturday opposes Neptune. So we're dealing with this very interesting new beginnings with the new moon cycle, and this picking ourselves up off of the ground, sort of breathing in a newer, fresher breath of air, whereas the whole last month was eclipse season. And this eclipse season is riveting. It thoroughly shakes us up. It brings out our insecurities. It causes stuff to shift around, sometimes spontaneously, sometimes shockingly. And then we are left in the new moon cycle. Yes, that cycle just closed as of yesterday. We're beginning a new moon cycle. And that eclipse season does carry all through March. But it's as if, we could have majorly gone through the getting chopped down, the crumbling of the tower, the being bled out. And we can very much feel like we're at the bottom. We might begin this week feeling thoroughly exhausted, thoroughly depleted, and this is simultaneously the new. We had to breathe out, eliminate, get rid of all that bullshit. Get it out of there, the crumbling, the falling, the death. And now we might feel dead. We might feel thoroughly exhausted. And yet this is kind of like surgery. This eclipse season is very much like surgery. Like we said, there can be a spontaneous injury or illness. Suddenly we're in the hospital and stuff gets switched around. Yeah, we might be sedated. We might be out of it. And then suddenly we wake up and things are different. There has been a surgery. And for any of us who have had surgery, we might appreciate the fact that at first you don't really feel like you can do a whole lot and you've got to stay in that hospital bed. But then, after a certain amount of time, this interesting thing changes And suddenly we start feeling restless. We start feeling ambitious. Let's get out of the hospital bed. I want to start my life again. And you know what? All that time being stuck in the hospital bed, I've thought of some great ideas of things I want to do differently. I want to implement differently. I want to initiate this. So this might be some of the energy that we're experiencing. As you know, this last weekend we had the sun opposing Uranus. Okay, and this was happening at the time of the new moon. We're going to talk about this new moon opposite to Uranus. But this sun opposite to Uranus is this restless, let's make our identity something new. Let's do something new and fresh. Let's break down the patterns, the cycles of the past and do it differently. Let's initiate something new. So there is this exciting, let's pick ourselves up. Let's start to move forward. This is also Mercury having just turned direct over the weekend, and we're still maybe, getting our mind and our communication back on track, as when Mercury is slowing down and speeding up, this is when things do get thrown off a little bit. But the point is over the weekend, we had Mercury turn direct, we had the new moon. This could have been a realization. This realization can change things from this point onward. And now we are starting to pick ourselves upward and head off in that new direction. Pick up the pieces and create something new, a new structure, a new foundation. And we've been dealing a lot with this Mars, Venus, Aries, Libra, polarity between the sexes, between the genders. In our relationships, there's been so much drama, there's been so much changes, there's been so much focus, so much maturing and evolution has been going on in relationships. As Venus has just finished its 4-month-long transit of Leo, pushed into Virgo, and now Venus is opposing Neptune this Saturday. And this Venus opposite to Neptune is our standards, our rituals, our role, how we actually perceive ourselves based off of what is most important to me, my hobbies, my crafts, my role, my mundane rituals, my little schedule. This is parts of what define ourselves, and also how we define ourselves in relationship. This is my role. This is the shoes that I fill. This is the service that I give to my partner or my friends or my family or other people in relationships. So this has to do with how we perceive ourselves in our role, in our duty, in our assumed service to others, and also our hobbies and crafts that we inwardly enjoy and value. These are being challenged. How do these integrate with our dreams, our goals, which can be very far out, which can sometimes be thoroughly unrealistic, which can sometimes be really beautiful and really nice and really loving, but how do we actually bring these ideals down into reality? As one of the most common things we see happening on this planet at this time is people going into relationships and breaking up. People going into relationships and breaking up. People going into relationships and breaking up. And are people starting to get the fact that sometimes our ideals and our disillusionments about reality in terms of relationships, in terms of communication, in terms of our role, who are we in this position in terms of how I relate to the other, in terms of how I distribute my service, my hobby, my craft to other people. And there is a new beginning. We're going to talk about this new moon in a new light, and this new light is about picking up and putting together new friendships, new communities, new associations, new groups, new social circles. Not saying that this isn't also old friendships, old social circles that are being reinitiated in a new way. This is the opposition of Uranus with this new moon in Libra. It's actually a very interesting new moon. So new moon in Libra, we very generally and easily say, yes, this is when we start being social. This is when we start interacting with new and old people, new and old friendships form. This is also a time of communication, of writing, of taking our ideas that we want to share with other people and actually creating it. Collaboration, interaction, creativity. These are all Libra words. And Libra is an air sign. We can be very intelligent. We can write. We can communicate. We can journal our new ideas. This is partly the new moon, is let's set into stone the new ways, the new ritual, the new schedule. This is an opportune time to really implement the new schedule. We're talking about this week is the doing it, is the being it, as we also have this potent ambition that is being gifted to us by Mars, trine to Pluto, conjunct Jupiter. So on Wednesday, the moon was into Scorpio. Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, we've got this passionate, transformative energy, and Mars is in trine to Pluto. Let's do our willpower differently. And this also has to do with roles. What is the assigned duty and role of my own masculine drive and willpower? This is the masculine principle, is Mars. What we are doing out there in the world, how we actually initiate, how we defend, how we protect what is important to us. It is this powerful, rigid, this is what I'm doing, this is who I am, that we've been talking about for a long time. This is changing. We are redefining this principle. We are seeing how we can do it better, and simultaneously, this active willpower principle is coming in full force. By the end of this week, there's this very passionate energy. We can dedicate ourselves to our job, to our work. Mars conjunct Jupiter in Virgo is very capable of doing what we need to do, of analyzing what needs to be analyzed. It is intelligent. And it is also capable of initiating in an optimistic way, a beneficial way, an expansive way. How can I do my duty in the world? What is my assigned role for my own masculinity? This could be our job. This is what we're doing. This is our own masculine role in relationships. This is the powerful part of myself. Everybody has it. But we are also redefining the powerful parts of ourself, and we'll put it in context with the new moon, because this has to do with balancing how we interact with ourselves inwardly and how we interact with others in order to allow truly authentic and sincere individuality and brilliant uniqueness to become effortlessly integrated with our friendships and our partnerships. So there is no disagreement. There is no conflict as what our role is, both what we are doing, what we value, how we see ourselves in relationships, what is our role, what is our purpose. This is Mars, is what is our purpose. This is a week where we can feel reaffirmed of our purpose, and we can take our purpose and we can take it in the new direction. And the new direction is again to form social circles, partnerships, interactions, which simultaneously allow us to be our true, authentic uniqueness. And yet we can agree. We can create harmoniously. There can be collaboration without there always being friction, without there always being drama, without there always being banging heads, and it's my way or the highway, blah, blah, blah. It is a very, very delicate balance that we are trying to achieve here. And this new moon that was yesterday is sowing the seed for this intention to blossom through the next 4 to 5 weeks. So this is the intention, and it is a delicate balance. And I think a lot of what we're doing in the long term is we're taking the last lunar cycle, the eclipse cycle that went through the month of September, and it's like we're taking the lessons. We're taking the transitions, the transmutations, the transformations that happened in that past month. And now we are taking those same lessons, and it is not that we have perfected it yet. That is the stellium in Virgo, is that there is this notion that we can do it perfect, let's do it, let's create, let's build it. And simultaneously, we have to be aware of our own propensity to be a human being. Which means that we might have the goals and the ideals, and those goals and ideals might be very noble indeed, but we have to respect ourselves enough to give ourselves the patience and the flexibility to actually get there. This is a week of ambition, this is a week of building, this is a week of starting to get there, and we can start to feel to get there. The eclipse season could have much more felt like there was all this stuff that we were swimming in, and it's hard to move around so freely. And this next month is more easy to move around. We still have That being said, many of the challenges and disagreements from the last month that we are taking into this month, and it is as though we are now perfecting and refining these challenges. Whereas last month might have been the taking down, the breaking apart, the blowing up. And we started to realize the resolution. How can I piece this together so it's better, so it's nicer? Now we're working on the little bits. Okay, it's starting to slip back into the past. We'll revise this. Oh, a little bit leading to we gotta rectify this. It's like we are perfecting my role, my notions, these realizations that have been going on and probably will continue for some time. We are actually working on the perfecting and the refining to actually be able to integrate these completely. And this is a delicate balance. It is an extraordinarily delicate balance because Uranus in Aries is the total uniqueness of your individuality. That in truth cannot fully ever be appreciated by any other individual because that individual is different. Your completely unique individuality is something that is a treasure that you alone possess. And it is a brilliance, it is a wisdom, it is an insight that is actually pioneering ahead of its own time. And this is why in our uniqueness we can oftentimes feel weird, we can feel isolated, we can feel alone because lo and behold, my uniqueness, my individuality that is different from every other individual does not fit into the social circle, the groups, the consensus, the party. We might oftentimes feel isolated because of our uniqueness. And this is the very important thing, is it's very, very easy for very generous and compassionate, spiritual-minded beings to automatically and unconsciously submit themselves. Oh, well, my uniqueness is so far out, is so different, that I just need to put it to the side. Or it's too complicated, or it's too weird, or other people don't understand it. And so what ends up happening is we sacrifice ourselves in order to be with our partner, in order to be in the social circle, in order to be with friends, because we don't want to be alone forever. So we sacrifice our individuality in order to be included in a group. What else happens in this group-like mentality is that we all focus on our ideals that might be thoroughly unrealistic, but we all kind of group together either in our relationships or our friendships or our groups, and we all kind of, well, this is our shared mutual belief and mutual goals and mutual ideals, so we all come together and we act the same. We say the same things, we act the same way, and we support one another being happy in this way, which is fine, as long as it is also your way, as long as you are not also suppressing your own truth. And this is extraordinary, delicate balance. It does not come easily. For the people that think, oh, I just joined a group and everything's solved, usually those people are disillusioned, because this is a delicate balance. It does not always come that easy. Furthermore, there is a very interesting thing that happens with Libra, and that is reflection. We might reflect ourselves off of other people back to us, and then this very interesting retelling of old patterns can happen. And what I mean by this is, we'll use the example of family, yes? Family and good friends that are practically like family. These are the people that have been around us our whole life. They've watched us grow up, and therefore they have already existing a defined concept of who we are to them. And then it becomes very, very easy when we go back to our old families and old friends to find ourselves unconsciously being redefined by the old patterns, by the old roles that we may no longer fit. And yet we find ourselves being unconsciously inclined to be drawn back into those roles. Oh, okay. I'm supposed to be a nice person that likes whatever is happening around me. Yay! I'm supposed to be a person who has never grown up before. Yay! I'm supposed to be the child that I was when I was 12 years old. Yay! And you know what? It actually ends up confining us. It restricts our individuality. It restricts our progress. It restricts our evolution. It restricts us from accessing our individual brilliance that we are here to be and shine in order to improve the world. being satisfied wherever the hell you are, and this is it, is not always helpful. And the reason I had to redo this video is because yesterday's video was too peaceful and was too nice. And this is a funny little analogy / example. Is the video before last I said, I'm trying to be peaceful and nice because people give me recommendations that that's how I should be. Well, yesterday's video, I was peaceful and nice and nothing got said because of that fact. Everybody is completely unique. Everybody functions and works in a different way. And the way that you function or work may not be understood by everybody. It may not be even respected by our own ideals and standards that we have been convinced are the good ideals and standards to have because that's what we've been taught by other people that don't always understand us. So, to try and make this passionate rant that is the source of my capability to speak with you what I feel is important, useful, I think we have to harness what this new moon is really about, which is that we are harnessing new friendships, or we are doing old friendships in a new way that are eliminating old, outdated patterns and roles that no longer limit who we factually are. And where is all of this going to lead us? Well, it's going to lead us into the sun pushing into Scorpio and then the next full moon being in Taurus. The Scorpio-Taurus polarity is all about fundamental security and power. What might be the purpose of finding social circles, relationships, partnerships that simultaneously respect who you are as an individual without all the judgments? Oh, you're too negative. Oh, you're too passionate. You speak too loud. These are examples of people who might not understand us as individuals, and that's okay. But we cannot let their projections, their assumptions, distract us from being who we are naturally. And if we try to conform to other people's standards, we will actually, we'll get lost, we'll become angry, we'll become bitter, we'll become clenched up. And then you have to release it all later on through outbursts and these types of things. All right? You have to do what I'm doing now, which is take years and years and years of suppressing your own voice and your own way of doing things and now finally releasing it. And we can hear the passion and the built-upness that comes as a result. So this new moon is an invitation. It says, let us find healthy environments. Let us find healthy relationships and friends. In which case we can let the cat out of the bag. Be our weirdest, truest, most unique person that we are. When nobody else is in the same room and you're just being who you are and letting your freak flag fly. Let's find circles, relationships, partnerships, old friends, old family members, but we're doing it in a new way to respect, to revere the individual. We are creating social groups, we are creating social circles that are revolutionary, that are actually changing the patterns of the past. And this is why we see Venus coming up to Mars with Jupiter, and they're going to oppose Chiron. What we need to heal here is how we fundamentally perceive our own roles of feminine, of masculine, what I'm doing in the world, who I am. This is my job, this is my passion, this is my purpose. That's masculine, what we're doing. We have to redefine this. Even the role of man being born in a male body, we have to redefine what this means. As being a male by social standards are severely limiting compared to what authentic masculinity is. Similarly, we have to do the same thing with femininity. And everybody, it's very, very easy. I'll use an example of how we can use roles to cut ourselves short. There's a very prevalent emotion or sensation that's associated with the male or the female being connected to the past paradigm. And this is the male role oftentimes feels guilty, and the female role oftentimes feels victimized. We have to change and transform these roles so that those feelings do not longer exist. And this means that when we might feel in ourself, a part of ourself that feels victimized, oh, this person did that, oh, this person did that, and I'm feeling victimized, blah, 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 blah. We have to change whatever pattern is creating that circumstance or that pattern to repeat. Because As a woman who is constantly feeling victimized, you're actually oppressing your own masculinity from existing. And it does exist, but we cut ourselves off from it. We say, I'm not powerful, I'm victimized. Well, the power is there within us, but we're not taking it yet. Chances are, when we take back our power in this life, we're not going to get strung up and burnt at the stake anymore. We can take back our power. You don't have to be in an abusive relationship, abusive friendships, blah, blah, blah. We do not have to feel victimized anymore. Go off. Cut down the cords. Do whatever you need to get out of the victimization, because that bad guy is going to hurt you so much. Do whatever. It's important for us to understand that we are no longer the victims. Simultaneously, we are also not the bad guys. And this is a masculine notion, to feel like we're always the bad guy. Oh, I'm always hurting women's feelings and I'm just trying to help them, and then I hurt their feelings and then they feel victimized as a result of me simply being here. It's very easy for women with victim consciousness to project onto men, and for men with guilt consciousness to project onto women. And this is going to continue to happen until we actually transform and change the fundamental roles and remove the guilt consciousness from masculinity and remove the victim consciousness from femininity. And it's very frustrating because people use these as scapegoats, and they use them to basically shallowly do their own escaping and excuses. So there can be extremely masculine women in a female body that, because they're in a female body, they're going to put themselves in victim consciousness to get their way. And also, there are extremely feminine men in a male body that are constantly feeling guilt consciousness, when in fact, they are actually just sensitive, caring beings that are always getting thrown under the bus. Because maybe we don't know how to communicate our feelings in the best way, because men don't get caught how to communicate our feelings. Wow, can we feel all of this stuff in this new moon? This next moon cycle is about healing the divine masculine and feminine. This is about restoring the harmony between these two, both inside of ourselves and outwardly. And when we achieve this harmony and balance within ourselves, it means that what we value, what's important to us, what we like to do, is in harmony with our purpose, with our role, with our job, with what we're doing out in the world. So this is really powerful. And this is the opportunity to bring us into a new level of fundamental security. The purpose of uniting a safe space where we can have friends and have partnerships who accept us totally 100% for being who we are. It does not mean that we're perfect. It doesn't mean that those friends don't tell us things how it is. It doesn't mean those friends say negative things sometimes. We need to have friends that are real friends. That means they don't feed back to us more disillusionment, more, oh, we segregate ourselves off into a little bubble and then hold on to the same ideals so we can reinforce our bubble. No, we want to keep friendships around that feed us back reality, that are going to let us know when we go astray, and therefore sometimes do voice negative things, which are perfectly fine. However, the most important thing that we want to seek in our friendships, in our groups, in the social interactions that are now forming now, is that these friendships respect who we are. That means they respect our story, they respect our process, they respect our history. No, we haven't always been perfect. Yes, we're still working through stuff. Yes, it might still be a little too passionate, a little too edgy, a little too negative. But I have to respect this part of myself because it is a defining characteristic of who I am, coming from my history. It is a telling of my own soul. And we want to find other souls that respect our own totally unique individuality, when every soul is unique. Every soul has a unique history. And you get this in the birth chart. The birth chart reveals the objectivity, reveals this story, not coming from an outsider's perspective or your family member's perspective who saw the character that you used to be. No, there is a nature of who you are that needs to be respected and revered. And we can't keep cutting ourselves short just because other people and the rest of the world don't get it. So this is a time of finding our fundamental security, and that we find in the people who reflect back to us who we actually are, and do not reflect back to us what we aren't, and the stories of the past, and the old repeated retouching the burner again and again and again. We don't have to keep touching that burner. We can and do have to set healthy boundaries that respect and revere our individuality. And if we can do that, these friendships and these social circles will actually create a whole new platform of security, where we can feel secure in our immediate environment, feel secure in our body, feel secure being who we are, which takes us into our power, which allows us to speak our voice, which allows the brilliance and the innovation that is hidden within every single human being to be released, to be shared, and then this world progresses and evolves, and it does improve, and love is always expanding and growing and getting deeper. So let's keep going. Do not stand still. Keep searching. Mercury is going forward now. Let's take these realizations and keep moving forward. Invent, initiate, create the new friendships, create the new social circles, interact, and make the discoveries that we need in order to keep moving forward. I could just keep blah, 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 but I need to stop talking. I love you all. Namaste.